Not since the end of the Great Depression has the unemployment rate been this high. 10.1% of the total workforce. Last month, 450,000 American workers punched out for good and joined the rolls of the 11.3 million people out of work.
And I've never seen people so panicky and so afraid.
Paul Askew is president of the Greater Tidewater Labor Council. He's been in the labor movement nearly 50 years.
It's all a very sad story because they're mainly telling you that they don't know where the next loaf of bread's coming from.
The jobless rate here in Tidewater is lower than it is across the country, but that doesn't make it any easier for those who represent the statistics. The Virginia Employment Commission is crowded with people like Mitchell Peter, laid off a week ago from the Naval Supply Center. He's a family man.
5 kids.
He's trying to collect and maybe find new work.
I'll get a job or something.
Doesn't look too
good, no.
Black Americans remain the single group with the highest rate of joblessness. 20% of blacks looking cannot find jobs. What are you going to do?
Keep searching.
Have you had any luck so far?
No, not really.
It is not easy work looking for work right now.
It is a very tough time, very tough time.
Auto industry workers particularly are hard hit, with 232,000 of them on indefinite layoff. That figure doesn't include the Ford workers here who are out of work for 2 weeks. This plant is closed for that period. So many people are not used to being unemployed.
Well, it's difficult if you are willing to work and you can't find really anybody that wants you.
Howard Jaffe, The Daily News.
For September.
What better place to hold a news conference on unemployment than in front of the office that handles the unemployed? In fact, this news conference was scheduled before the statistics came out in anticipation of the bad news. As expected, Norman Sisiski pointed the finger at the Republicans for a record federal deficit, which he says led to a double-digit jobless rate. He believes President Reagan's 1981 tax cut is to blame, and that the signs of possible economic recovery now won't last if the 1983 tax cut goes through.
But to me, it's very simple. When the government enters into the borrowing market to borrow this money, again in 1983, I think you're going to have another problem, and interest rates are going to go back up again. I will certainly vote to delay, at least delay, the 1983 tax cut, which in turn will reduce the budget deficit.
Sisiski is challenging 10-year House veteran Bob Daniel, who has defended Reaganomics and said he'll run on his record. Sisiski has found fault with that record. He says the big issue on November 2nd is jobs, and he's counting on those without them to deliver a Democratic victory. In Portsmouth, Cynthia Smoot, The Daily News.
Even though Virginia's unemployment rate is below the high 10.1% national level, Governor Charles Robb says he is very much concerned about the serious unemployment situation. Addressing the Sisiski for Congress benefit in Chesapeake, Robb says Virginia's lower rate is misleading. The fact is 192,000 Virginians are out of work. He says that more straightforward steps must be taken in Washington to significantly address the problem.
We haven't done enough at the federal level to address the problem. I think it's very clear that we cannot continue to spend more than we take in and just hope the situation is going to do better.
Virginia's lower rate is encouraging, but Robb says it is only relative because the national economy will always have a major impact on Virginia's. Reducing federal spending to bring the budget into balance is one positive step. And obviously, Robb says that means postponement of the popular tax cut.
But the biggest single dramatic thing that we could do would be to postpone that tax cut so that we can bring the budget closer into balance and hopefully eventually solve the problem.
In Chesapeake, Eric Reynolds, The Daily News.